Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NonFungible Thursday. This is your host, NFT Mommy, aka Estefania, and I'm excited, as always, to be featuring a special guest and a friend of mine, Jasmine, CEO at Zestbloom. If you don't know about Zestbloom, you better start doing your research. It's an incredible, very innovative project for anyone collecting NFTs and creating NFTs. I'm going to have her share more about her story, and how she thought of the idea of Zest Bloom and came together with her co-founder and team to develop an incredible company. But not just that, also a very interesting DAO being co-created by other innovative individuals in the Algorand ecosystem. So quite excited to learn more and discuss some hot takes and thoughts and ideas in general about blockchain and how we see it moving forward. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. And hello, Jasmine.
Hi. Thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be in this ecosystem and particularly to have someone like yourself interviewing me. Um, I'm just really excited to be here and I'm open to any sort of discussions you'd be interested in learning about.
Thank you for being here. I am very happy to just be able to talk to you. It's always exciting to be able to discuss even like hot topics with you. I remember having you at our panel in New York. You had some very insightful thoughts on inclusion and diversity and how we can impact Web3. Loved what you had to say. So today I would like to start off with having you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your journey in blockchain and how you got into the space.
Yeah. So it started about a year and a half ago. I had actually initially opened up another company called Cipher Corp. It was a developer company, and we worked locally here in Vermont, which is where I'm stationed at. Um, we did some work around the towns. We created some apps and some graphic designs, nothing too heavy. It was my husband and I, Ryan Farrell, and I had mentioned to him that I would love to start creating our own project instead of creating projects for other individuals. So he actually came up with the idea of doing a marketplace. To be honest, it was his initial idea, and he looked at Algorand, and he felt like Algorand was probably the most secure. It scales really well. It kind of meets the trifecta of what people are looking for in blockchain. So I went with it. It seemed like a great idea. And so we started looking and researching as to what we wanted to focus on our attention. We noticed that there was a need for a marketplace in the industry, especially in that particular blockchain. And we slowly started building out Zastbloom 1.0. And as we were building it out, we actually met with our third co-founder, which is Evan Moltz, and he presented a really cool idea of kind of originality scoring in NFTs. And I think that that was a pivoting point for us back in March when we realized that had a little bit more meaning, because if we're going to go in the decentralized realm, we would probably want to hone in on how do we make sure that an NFT that you're purchasing in a decentralized world is truly unique and has intrinsic value. So we started creating the IP, we built out the product, and it's completely fleshed out now, and it's really come to life. It's taken about a year and a half to build that out, but it's different than any product on the blockchain. And I can definitely demo that for you, and you can see what the advantages are of having this kind of technology in NFTs.
Yeah, I would love to see that. But before we do, I have so many other questions. So amazing to hear that like you literally came into the space not just as like a developer, but you came in wanting to be a founder, um, gathered your team, and then decided to create this extremely innovative project that literally doesn't exist anywhere outside of Zestbloom. But what is it that Like, so NFTs being very popular, you guys came in at the right time as well, considering the hot market of NFTs happening last year. You guys were building out your company, but were you already like a teal or pi teal developer, or did you discover a different tech stack to come in and start building the project?
Yeah, so actually, a little bit about my background. I graduated from Humboldt State University with a cell molecular and biochemistry degree, so I double majored. And then from there, I went into finance, and I worked at JP Morgan Investments in the wealth department for 7 years. After that, I was in San Francisco, and I joined a startup called Lending Club. We were probably 70 people, and we built up that company. It became a multi-billion-dollar company when I left, and I sold my shares. And that was kind of a glimpse to the world of startups, and it was a really meaningful experience. And I had told my husband that I wanted to learn how to program, and he said, "All right, let's make this happen." So he actually um, had me take some time off, and since I could sell my shares, we had some money we could use for me to go back to school. And I attended a community college for about a year, and I learned Linux, C++, JS. And then I got an internship at Lawrence Berkeley Lab, where I was hired there as a site reliability engineer, and I worked on big data. So I worked on the supercomputers there. And it really turned me on into saying, "Hey, I could do this on my own. I can start a company." And I got pregnant, and me and my husband moved to Vermont, and then decided I'd open up Cipher Corp. And the
That's
transition.
incredible. What a journey. So you are a technical founder, an innovator, and it seems like an academic as well. You just keep wanting to go back to school and keep learning.
I think people feel like they need a degree in something to do something, but I think that if you want to learn anything in any field, you just need to do it. Any time in your life, you can learn anything at any point, and you can get really good at it. And it's okay to switch your interests throughout your life, because we're organic and we're malleable and we like everything. In all honesty, I think all of us have interests in all aspects of life, and it's just a matter of what you decide to harness at the time.
Absolutely. And so going from Web 2 development, working at these startups, and then evolving to blockchain, um, I'm also trying to kind of get you to say you're building with Reach.
Very
How did you find Reach?
Yes, yes. No, let's continue that story. So we start Zestbloom, and this is really fascinating because we are lacking. We have smart contracts. We were kind of lacking on our smart contracts. And here we are, like, how do we improve these smart contracts? And Chris, out of nowhere, says to us, "I like you." And I go, "Chris Werner, why are you even talking to me?" Like, why are you even looking in our direction? And he's like, "I believe you have so much potential and you have so much to offer. And we would really like to have you guys partner with Reach, and we can offer you so much growth and opportunity." And he did exactly that. One of our head developers, Nick, runs the smart contract department, and he does everything in Reach. And so it's been phenomenal having him. Everything is decentralized. Everything, it runs smoothly, and I don't know where we would be at without Chris and Nick and the team. It has been such a great experience, and you as well. Like, having meet everybody has, like we were discussing a little bit earlier, it feels like family. So whenever we travel, we cross each other's path, and we have each other to look to and mentor. So yeah, I feel really, really fortunate to be in the space and meet the people that we've met. And I feel like it's only going to get better over time.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And so having Zuzbloom be this company that is essentially a marketplace, but there's also been, it spawned Kindao as well. Can you tell me more about the evolution of how that idea came about and what Kindao is focusing on?
Yes. So, what's really unique about the technology we've built is that it's honestly best applied to every single marketplace, because for a blockchain to actually offer intrinsic value in NFTs, you really do need to implement metadata that has similarities so that you can score the originality of each NFT. And what makes the DAO really unique is that it allows for marketplaces to join the DAO and have a piece of that API and implement it into their marketplace so that they can confirm their originality in their NFTs when they sell those NFTs to individuals. Um, and so that's what the DAO was intended for. It was so that people didn't feel like it was a competing space, but it allowed for access to this unique tech that helped amplify their marketplace in a way that hasn't really been seen on the blockchain before. And excuse me for my raspy voice. I am sick, so I'm going to bring that up on the tail end there.
Thank you for taking the time, even though you're not feeling 100%. Really appreciate that. For those who don't know about Zestbloom and what it looks like, can you emphasize a little bit more on what this sort of rarity score, but originality score, like how does that work and how is that portrayed through the marketplace? Are there filters behind it? Like
Yeah,
what can we look
yeah,
forward to?
yeah. It has a lot of layers to it, actually. It can do a lot. So I can give a few examples. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and I'm going to just kind of discuss some of those
Great.
examples. Let me do this. So I'm going to go on to the Zestbloom site because we've plugged in the API, but it's also on the Kin search.kin site. So please take a look at that. So here we are. This is just an NFT marketplace. Here we're displaying every single asset that's actually being minted in this moment. So this is a live indexer that's going through assets on the entire blockchain. We have every single asset indexed in the Algorand blockchain. And we don't just do Algorand, by the way. We do Ethereum, we're doing Solana, Avalanche, Polygon. So we're actually indexing every single asset on the entire blockchain. So I would consider this technology agnostic, and we can display any type of NFTs that you would like on your marketplace. So to give you an example, if you go to an event and you see an NFT on someone's t-shirt that you would like to make a purchase on, but you don't quite know the space, you don't know where it comes from, you don't even know what blockchain it's on, you could literally take a picture of that NFT and you can upload it onto your computer. And I'm going to give you an example here. I have a test subject here. And you can load it onto our systems and it will tell you exactly what that NFT is, what it looks like, the properties, and where you could buy it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And you can do it across any blockchain. So it doesn't even matter if you're on Algorand, if it's on Ethereum, if it's on Solana, it's on every single blockchain. It can tell you. It can also tell you if it's an original asset. So if someone had photoshopped this image and added a different hat or added a different background, it would know instantly what properties it took these different images from, and it would display both properties and both images that it combined.
Wow, that's huge. Have you had any cases of people finding rugs this way or finding like counterfeit projects?
Probably. I haven't myself, actually, but because we're not looking for rugged projects, we only look for legitimate assets, but we have created fake assets and we have combined different assets to test that particular property, and it's 99.9% accurate. So that can just, and we can actually, so the API is accessible for any marketplace to use. And that particular marketplace or any particular marketplaces that uses our API can build in those tools as well. For instance, if you would prefer a rating or a score on the end of these little images. It's just up to the marketplace to put that in place, but it's very easy to implement, and it would just use our tech to do it. So it's very cool. The other thing that's really neat about this is, let's say, for instance, your mother decides to buy an NFT. It's not likely that your mom is going to know, I want alguanas, or I want, moonbirds. She's not going to have a clue, like, where should I begin? What she's likely going to do is she's going to write out, ooh, black and white flower. And you will be able to populate across all the blockchains, all the black and white flowers. So it's using a text to search image. Now, this first one is the exact description of this particular asset. It's in the title. You see the words black and white flower, but the other ones don't have that. If you look at the properties, there isn't even the word flower in the metadata. So how does our system know to populate this particular image? It's actually using an AI algorithm that's determining that this shape looks like a flower and that these pixels are white and black, therefore it displays it. There's nothing like that that does it online. You can't find a competitor that comes close to our search results. So it is really phenomenal, actually, what it's capable of doing. And just, as the blockchain continues to grow, you're going to get more and more assets. We're getting 56 million assets that we're indexing. Eventually, it's going to be impossible to search through all of that. So what are you going to use? You're going to use a search engine.
That's amazing. It's so true. That's going to be phenomenal for so many people, and even like new projects coming in. It's going to be a really great way, and new collectors even, great way to cross-reference and make sure that they're investing in the right projects, and things of that nature. I can't even imagine like the sort of applications, because it seems kind of endless.
It really is. And that's what we're really excited about, is that we do believe that it's endless. And the fact that you can build upon the API means that every marketplace can build their own tools that will help, showcase what the API can do. And that's our intent. So with the DAO, if you hold kin tokens, then you will have access to all this stuff. And that's what's really cool. It gives the marketplaces the privilege to do those things.
And can you buy directly also from Zestbloom as you're searching these, or would it redirect you to the blockchain that you're buying from?
So we are capable of making an offer, is the way it would work, because obviously different wallets connect with different things. It would alert an individual on their wallet that there's been an offer made for their asset. You would have to have the same type of wallet to make that purchase. So you wouldn't be able to make an offer with an algo asset to an ETH asset, unless you have some way of, wrapping that and then doing the exchange currently, which is still a really convoluted process, unfortunately. But you can make direct offers on the same blockchain easily, no problem.
That's awesome. And are you guys thinking about possibly in some future, like allowing that sort of interoperability? Like I have my wallet, and then if I want to bid on an Ethereum asset, then if I have enough funds, it'll somehow wrap, transfer, bridge, and then vice versa?
I don't think we want to do that. I welcome any engineer to want to do that, though. I do feel like that is a beautiful solution, and that is a solution that needs to be done across the board, and we all know that. I know people are working on it right now. I know that it's going to get solved. When, I don't know how, and I don't know who's going to win that, but that is not something we're interested in doing ourselves. We're more interested in building out our aggregator and our AI. Like I said, we've indexed so many NFTs now. We're partnering up with some really big names, and they're using our AI and our APIs. So it's only going to grow from there. I think it's going to be a really big deal, and that's what we're aiming to do. We're not so much interested. We're interested in the marketplace in the sense that we provide that kind of information, but we're not interested in the sense that, we want to be the next Rand Gallery or the next Algo Gems. That's not the direction we're going. So
That's awesome. So it's more like a layer zero for the other marketplaces to really evolve and continue to innovate.
Exactly. Yeah, we're just there to make sure that every single NFT has true value, that people aren't getting rugged on their projects, that people can, have a safe experience when they use decentralized tools. And I think that one of the biggest problems with this ecosystem is that people get rugged, or people get, their money gets lost, and it's really unfortunate. So we're trying to find solutions that make the ecosystem pleasant and mainstream and open doors for other people to join. And that's our biggest concern.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. We kind of talked about this backstage in the regards to like, okay, well, how can we make tech simple enough for a lot of people to adopt, but not too simple so people don't not understand what they're using? Because I feel conflicted about this, but I'm curious to hear your opinion as well in the regards to like, there's companies like I'm not going to say names because I don't want to promote companies. I don't believe it, but you have big corporations coming in and simplifying things by using the current tech stack, but becoming sort of a custodial um, interface or platform that someone interacts with. But then the user feels like they're just using the same social media platform or whatever it might be that they normally would. But now there's all of this like blockchain technology happening behind the scenes that they're not aware of, but they're sort of being taught that it's happening in this sort of very diluted way. Like, what are your thoughts on that in the sense of like making it accessible? Should people know what they're using? Like, where do you think this is going?
I think it's a combination of both. Like, I think people should be aware of the technology they're using and how they're using it. But I do think that there's a huge barrier with the Web3 currently. It's not user friendly. It's not very mainstream. It's not what people are accustomed to. And it's one of the reasons why the ecosystem hasn't grown as quickly as it could. I think that infrastructure is needed in the space still. We need to build out projects that do make it a little bit easier for individuals to understand. I think it's a little dangerous. People don't understand how important it is to hold your own keys. They don't understand what that means. Tokens and all these, blockchains cause a lot of confusion for people. They don't know what blockchain to pick, and they don't know what token to purchase. And it's not about those things. I think we discussed this a little bit earlier as well. It's about the technology that Web3 offers. And I'll give you a few examples of what I've come across. So I had an artist when we first had our first Last Bloom 1.0 mint an asset on our systems, and we created a truly decentralized way of minting an asset, completely decentralized. And that meant that the artist could not burn their piece. So they mint it, it goes out to the world, and that's exactly what happened. And the artist reached out to us and said, I want to burn that piece and I can't. And we're like, well, it's an unmanaged asset, which means it's completely decentralized and you cannot burn your piece. And they're like, what? So now they've lost some control that they weren't expecting. And I think artists don't realize that to be truly decentralized, it means that what you put out in the world stays in the world. And people don't actually want that. They want to be able to burn some of their assets. They want to be able to take some of that stuff down. They want some control over how their assets are being used. Do they really want someone to take their asset and blow it up onto a billboard and then change it and turn it into something else? They lose ownership, and it's something they're not accustomed to. And it's what our governments do and our institutions do. They create a structure, they create laws and rules so that people have some rights. But this world's kind of like the wild west. There's no rights yet. There's nothing being defined. Another thing that I think about quite often is like, when you buy tokens, what does that mean? Like when you go onto a blockchain. And I feel like that's something that newcomers shouldn't be necessarily always jumping into. Like, they really need to educate themselves on what that means. But I think the technology is phenomenal. Like, imagine this. Imagine a world where you buy a house and you go to transfer your deed, and you don't actually need to go through a third party to do it, but the blockchain does it automatically because it recognizes that you're no longer the owner, it recognizes the new owner, and it transfers all that information. So you don't have to worry about that cost that normally is added when you buy a house or when you sell a property. Or let's say a house evolves and it starts getting built out. People build,
Yeah.
onto your property, and you can see the imagery and the evolution of your property. Your plans change, your information changes, but it's all in the blockchain. It's accessible all around the world. Or your medical records. Let's say you get in a car accident here in the United States and you go to Europe, and the doctor can pull the records from the blockchain and know what your allergies are and know what's wrong with you and know how to address your needs. Like, the blockchain is a public ledger that allows people to address things universally that's never been able to be addressed before. And it's a global economy, and that's what it does.
Yeah. I do want to add in, if my medical records are on chain, I hope to God they're on a ZK wrapped sort of proof where it's
You
not
concern, right? But do you see, you understand the dangers behind blockchain. Like, yeah, you would have like a numerical value. Maybe you'd have like you'd have to understand about security, right? You'd be educated on
totally.
securing your assets, and you still have to do that even now on a regular desktop. I mean, don't kid yourself. People can jump onto your systems, they can steal
Yeah.
your information, and they can still get access to everything. You're still connected to the internet, so that doesn't
Right.
necessarily change. But maybe we need to re-educate our public on what that means. How do you secure yourself? How do how do we combat that? How do we create programs that say, hey, this is how we take care of our citizens and their privacy? And I think that's really important. And we need laws that help influence that as well. I think that it's really becoming very, very public what everything is, but to an extent. So decentralization is good to an extent. So there needs to be structure. It needs to be both.
You make a really good point, and there's something that really stuck with me when I went through my kernel fellowship to learn about blockchain and Web3, and it was the concept of not just taking things as they are, but really asking better questions as new things are coming in. Because with these new evolutions of tech, like, yes, they're great, but to your point, there's so many holes that we can poke at, whether it be like, okay, this awesome public good that's available, it's peer to peer, but again, security being a major threat, having also the privacy being another major threat to what's happening. These are all things to be aware of, but also be just ask questions about it and be curious enough to figure out alternatives or solutions to it, because we're all trying to figure this out as we go. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah.
Jasmine, how can people find out more or join KinDAO? Where should they go?
Yeah, actually, there's a few things we're going to be doing soon in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about what we're going to do on Kin. I believe we'll be releasing some more information on our white paper. So please read up on the white paper. Please educate yourself. Like I said before, education is important. Learn about what we're offering with Kin and what that looks like. And when you read the paper and you educate yourself, if you're interested in participating in any of the kind of the things that we're doing with Kin, you're welcome to reach out to us if you want to join Kin, or if you see any other value with the API or the potential of what we're offering, please reach out to us. My email is jiris@zestbloom.com. I would love to demo our tech. I'd love to discuss where Kin is going, what that looks like. We do plan on releasing a token probably in the next 2 weeks through Humble. So that's very, very exciting.
Ooh, alpha.
So you will see that soon. But please educate yourself on it before making any rash decisions. I want you to read up on what our goals are and what we're planning on doing, because we want to be very, very permanent in the space, and we want to make sure that everybody knows what we're doing and what we're offering, and that we want to create intrinsic value in the ecosystem in a way that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for taking the time. I'm also going to plug your personal Twitter down below so that people can follow you and message you if they didn't capture that email address. But jiris@zestbloom, right?
Correct. jiris@zestbloom.com. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. We're here for you. So, or JR, yes.
Thank you, Jasmine. It was a pleasure to have you. Extremely insightful. Always a wealth of knowledge speaking with you. So I'm really excited to see the just evolution of Zestbloom and Kindao, and also to see what the community does with the tools that you guys have created, because that's monumental.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Talk to you soon. There you have it, friends. That was Jasmine, co-founder and CEO of Zestbloom, an incredible project. I mean, if you weren't captivated by that conversation, go check it out for yourself. This is tech like you've never seen it before. We're seeing AI come into the space pretty hard right now with creators but of course, like other things, there's the back end that is also important and relevant to what's happening and how things are evolving. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. You can like, subscribe if you enjoyed this conversation. Please share with your friends. In the meantime, stay tuned for next week.